Hello, welcome to Chess and Strategy Games. My name is Lisa Orlova. I'm a woman candidate master and a woman national master. Happy to have you here. I'm making a video on a game that I played recently with a student of mine. It was an anonymous game on Chess. I like playing anonymous games because you have no idea what type of level of opponent you're going to get. You could get someone weaker, you could get someone substantially stronger. It's really all over the place. One of the reasons why I'm showing this game today is this is a perfect example of white losing because of not following the ABC rules of starting a chess game. So they barely had any pieces developed in their game. They didn't even get a chance to castle, and they were punished later on in the game. Well, let's begin. White starts off with c4, black plays d5. Now, to some of you that might be thinking, well, after capture, isn't the queen coming out? Well, the idea was that if white captures the pawn, knight goes to f6, and then the queen doesn't get out so quickly. Pawn goes to d3, knight goes to f6, defending the pawn goes to c5. This move is a little bit weird. It's overextending and also not really thinking about bringing out other pieces in the game. Pawn goes to e5, pawn goes to d4, protecting the pawn on c5, e takes d4, queen takes d4, and now attacking the queen that has been developed early. Queen goes to f4, bishop takes the free pawn. Even if the queen decided to protect the pawn, the queen had gone to c3, for example, pawn d4 would have been played, and then depending on where the queen goes, maybe the bishop can come out and develop itself. But as you can already see here, black has an advantage in development. They have both of the knights out, they have a centralized pawn, but white doesn't have any bishops or knights developed, and the queen is just moving around the board instead. So queen f4, bishop takes c5, bishop goes to e3. Now, in this position, bishop e3, I personally would not do this move. I'd probably just focus on playing like knight f3, or maybe even at this point deciding to play a little bit on the passive end and play something like bishop e2 to just stop some ideas with the knight coming in, trying to get to c2, or just developing the knight to c3. However, in this position, by playing bishop e3, it allows this pawn push. So the pawn goes to d4. Now the bishop is going to lose in tempo. It is blocking off this bishop, but doesn't really bother me here. Bishop goes to d4, knight goes to d5. Did not have to do this move, by the way. Could have simply just developed bishop e6, for example, which would still be a really good move. I mean, could have also just played knight to b4 and threatened the fork. There's many different things that could have been played here. However, I liked centralizing the knight, advancing the knight, while also attacking the queen. Okay, so the queen moved to g3 and is threatening the pawn on g7. Now, a lot of the times you need to be very careful. So in chess, you need to always be thinking about what your opponent is planning to do. Or at least assume that your opponent always has a plan for every move that they make. If they end up not having any plan at all, then it's just good for you. But just assume that your opponent always has a trick up their sleeve, because that might actually be the case. So in this position, after queen goes to g3, the pawn is in trouble. Just always be aware that if you decide to castle into, just be careful about these little tricks, because if you can't defend against the checkmate, and the only way to defend is to push the pawn, you've actually lost exchange here. So I had already thought of this in advance, and I knew that if the bishop went to h6, I would simply play queen f6, and now the bishop is in trouble, is under attack, and it just helps me develop my queen. I know developing queen early, but this isn't actually early in the game. It's already move 10 in the game, and actually black is almost finished development if this gets played. So the queen goes to f6. Let's just say that the bishop could move here, but let's just say the bishop moves to d2, for example, after bishop f5 or bishop e6. Now actually black has basically completely finished their development. They've castled their king, they've brought out their knights and their bishops, they're controlling, every piece is controlling the center, and also the rooks are linked as well. Okay, so the opponent played bishop g5 instead. Pawn goes to f6, and this is where I actually was thinking maybe the opponent was kind of wanting me to play pawn f6 and then play bishop h6, but keep in mind that even after bishop h6 in this position, I mean, I was just thinking about playing queen to e7 here. But rook f7 also works. Just keep in mind that when you're placing your pieces on the same line as the king, you just need to be looking out for the future, that nothing bad is going to happen. Bishop goes to h4. Now, technically speaking, by the way, the bishop is already trapped, so could have gone for g5, but the bishop is trapped, but you can't take the bishop, right, because of the pin. So I don't know, I didn't really like this plan. I mean, I could have played king h8 with the idea of playing g5, maybe not such a bad idea, but instead I just wanted to quickly take advantage of the uncastled king. So knight c to b4. And now threatening to do a fork. In this position, you might be wondering, well, what's the point of this move if white just plays knight a3 and defends against the fork? Well, here's the thing. The knight's on a bad spot. My knight on b4 is technically partially invincible right now. And why is it partially invincible? Because a3 can't be played to try to chase away the knight. So in this position, my knight is in a better position than white's knight. My knight is advanced. My knight is close to the side of the board, but it is not on the side of the board. But my opponent, I guess, didn't see knight c2 threat. So knight c2, king d1. Now the king can't castle at all anymore. Knight takes a1, king c1. Now, in this position, you should always think about when you take the rook in the corner, see if you can try to get the knight out. It's a good habit to have, because don't just forget about the knight in the corner. If you do have a possibility of bringing it out, then you're going to be up a full rook rather than being only up exchange. Okay, so bishop f5, knight goes to c4. Not really sure. What about this move? Personally speaking, I honestly think that white should be focusing on bringing pieces into the game. So playing something like knight to f3, I don't know, or, I mean, it's kind of hard to say what is the best in this position. Well, I just decided I just want to bring the knight out, king b1, knight c to b4. That helps with check. Yeah, this would have been a better check in this position, picking up another piece. But I can't remember what me and my student were thinking about here, but we were thinking about some checkmating chances maybe. But technically speaking, this is the better move because you either win the knight or you win the bishop. So definitely would have been the better call. Anyway, so knight c to b4, king c1, knight takes a2, king d1, queen e7, and now the idea of this move is just to try to invade with the queen. It's also linking the two rooks together. Knight goes to d2, knight d to b4. Not exactly sure what the plan, oh right, yes, no, I do see the plan now. So the plan was to play bishop to c2, king goes to e3, and then knight d3. It's not a smothered mate because of the queen taking, but you do win a queen in this position. Okay, so maybe the opponent saw it, maybe not, but they played pawn to e4. So in this position here, instead of taking on e4, decided to do en passant, opening up the bishop, yet again. F takes e3, bishop goes to c2 check, king goes to e1, knight goes to d3, king to e2, knight a to c1. So in this position, I was actually making a joke to like my student, and I was like, this position is so crazy because it feels like a Crazy House game. And if you haven't played Crazy House, it's when you capture a piece, you get it into your inventory, and then as a move, you can take the piece from the inventory and place it anywhere on the board. I'm like, wow, this position doesn't feel real. Like, it doesn't feel like it's from an actual chess game. It feels like you're playing a chess variant because you're just placing, when you're placing your knights on the board. But no, this is an actual chess game. Knight 8 to c1 check. These knights are really working well together. King goes to f3, queen takes e3, king goes to g4, pawn f5, and as you can see here, all of my pieces are basically working together as a team. King h3 was played in this position with a beautiful checkmate, but if the king had moved to h5, there's another checkmate with either queen h6 or with pawn to g6. I like pawn checkmates because the pawn is the weakest piece, so it's pretty rare to checkmate with a pawn. So this would be very, oh no, it's not checkmate actually, because the queen can sacrifice itself. Never mind, never mind. Yeah, no, just play queen h6 then. I don't know why I just missed that. But yeah, after queen h6 is just mate. King goes over here and knight f2 checkmate because the queen is pinned in this position. Well, I hope you enjoyed this game. I know that there were better moves to like win more material, but the focus was more so trying to checkmate. Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to be posting more videos like this. I personally enjoy playing with students like anonymous games because, as mentioned before, you don't know what type of level you're going to get. I've had opponents that felt like they were like 2300 playing even anonymously. Also, anonymously, it kind of helps you not be worried about the other person's rating because, you know, if you play someone lower rated, you have expectations of winning because of their rating. However, if you're playing someone really strong, then, you know, you might have the mentality of like, oh, I'm going to lose anyways and do whatever. But when you don't know what their rating is, you just play your own game. And yeah. Hopefully this is a good example of showing how white did not focus on the ABCs of starting a chess game and got penalized pretty quickly. Yeah, hope you have an amazing day. More videos to come.